All right, so welcome to our introduction to Google App Engine. So we're going to be using Google App Engine a lot. It's going to do all of our back-end work for us, right? So what is Google App Engine? So there's a pretty picture here of various Google Cloud platform services, things like that. You can see that one of the icons in there is App Engine. Instead of explaining a lot about it on this screen, I'm just going to say that it's the way for hosting web pages is kind of one thing they do, and also for hosting like a place for your apps to talk to. So if you have like iOS and Android apps, it's a place for them to talk to. Let's go look at some examples before we get too deep into it. So here's an example that we made. This is an app called Dice with Friends. Dice with Friends is a website. You can go to it now if you want. It's Dice with Friends. You can sign in with Google. App Engine tries to make a lot of ways easy for you to sign in. I'm signed in some other tab, so you can see that it just quickly signed me in. It knows that I'm Dave, right? And really all App Engine is doing is it's providing the hosting service that makes this page available, right? So that's one thing that it does, right? And so the actual like logic in here of like displaying on the HTML page, it doesn't do that for you, right? Like you have to actually create the HTML and things like that. But it does help with the hosting and all the low-level details that you don't want to learn about. The way it works is, so I'm actually at Dice with Friends, which looks like a normal website, is it's actually backed by another website called my app ID, which in this case is Dice with Friends with hyphens in it, .appspot.com. Whenever you see .appspot.com, that means hosted by Google. It's a Google app, right? And you'll notice that this website is the exact same. And that's because really this one right here is just a custom domain of my Google App Engine, like made it for me page. So it's actually the same page, right? All the same information. So that's one thing that Google is. They're a hosting service that lets you create pages, and then they'll host it for you, and viewers can come to your page. Setting up the custom domain is kind of a separate step, but we might learn more about that someday, just showing you that you can. The other thing that it is it is a way to make an API so that apps can talk to your back end. So here's another example that we'll do later in this quarter. So this is movie quotes. So I can add a movie quote, so there's a web interface. But in addition to the web interface, you can also use Google App Engine to make APIs specifically for Android and iOS apps, and you can do them for other things too. So this is what's called the Explorer. This lets me view the different methods that my apps can call. It lets me test them out and things like that. But really, you wouldn't ever use this Explorer page. You would use a native app, and behind the scenes, it would use this API that you've made. All right, so now I think I'm ready to go back to my slides and look at this picture and explain and talk more about it. So Google products. So there are cloud platform packages. App Engine is one we're going to use a ton. It serves web pages. Compute Engine is another product. It's neat, but it's for like if you want to have a million computers crunching some problem, then you can use Compute Engine. It's a neat product, but it's not anything we're going to use at all right now. And then there's kind of this section of storage. So when it comes to storage, you can see that they've got a way you can do SQLite. This may surprise you, but we're not using SQLite at all. To be honest, Google has a better system than SQLite, and they provide SQLite in case you're migrating an existing database over. But if you're doing new development, you wouldn't ever use SQLite. And in fact, they charge a fee for it, right? The other thing we are going to use a ton with App Engine is the data store. Data store is how you keep data, right? So that's a product we're going to use a lot. So I think of the data store as being like inside App Engine because it's how you can save data, but it is technically separate. Cloud storage is something we might use. It's like for how you would store pictures. So the data store is kind of what replaced SQLite. Other things they've got a thing called BigQuery. Don't care about it at all. Good for them. And they have a thing called Google Cloud Endpoints. That one, if you're in one of the app classes, iOS or Android, that's going to be like this is the only feature that iOS and Android people care about. And what it is it's a way to talk to iOS, a way to talk to Android, and then it's also a way to do AJAX request if you're using HTML. So it's a way to make an API that works with JSON. So that's kind of my overview of what AppEngine is. What we're going to have you doing in this lesson is kind of getting an intro for what it is. I could talk about it more, and then actually creating your first sample app. It's when you create your first sample app that things really start to make sense. AppEngine, you can use a variety of languages. So you can use Java, you can use Python, you can use Go, which is a Google-specific language, or you can use PHP, and they might add more later. To be perfectly honest, Google, when they use AppEngine, so you're basically using the same tool Google uses. They do everything in Java. We've actually decided to, instead of going with Java, to go with Python. Why Python? Python is a great language. It makes a lot of tasks very, very easy with very little boilerplate code. So we're going to be learning Google AppEngine with Python. It's going to be the only language we care about. We're not going to teach you Go and PHP. It's dead. Forget about PHP. So we're moving to the newest, biggest, best, and we've picked Python for the language we're going to use. So that's what we're going to be using language-wise for AppEngine. And then I've got a nice slide here. I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again intentionally because it's important, is there's kind of two things that AppEngine does. It's great for serving web pages. So people come to your site, and AppEngine's going to serve them stuff. There's a thing called websites and a thing called web apps. Websites are easy. That's just like you come and get a static file, and it gives it to you. So pages that don't change, they just display information. Those are websites. That's easy. AppEngine can do that, but it's easy, right? The thing that AppEngine is really all about is it's about web apps. So you have things like, you log in to your info, and you get your own user data that you've saved specific to you. So things like that are important to web apps, and those are the kinds of things we're going to be learning about. And then there's kind of this other world of endpoints. So endpoints, you can't see it with Chrome or anything like that. It just talks to iOS, Android, and then if you want to use AJAX request. AJAX request means don't reload the whole page, just give me a little bit of data from the server. So those are the two big use cases. And yeah, I said it twice, but that's because I wanted to make sure you learned it, right? And I think that's about it for this time. There's some facts on here of when it launched and things like that, but that's probably not that important to you. So I'll just go ahead and cut this off now, and I'll see you next time.